Welcome to Confessions with the Cougar and the Cub. This is your host, Justin Vandeventer.
And I am the better half of this podcast, Carrie, the Cougar Lazzarino.
This podcast, we are going to give you the male and female perspective on everyday issues and relationship problems.
And I'll give you the right answer from real ladies, just like myself, a true badass.
And I'll try to translate to you cavemen out there that don't quite understand women yet.
So let's dive in.
And enjoy this episode with the Cougar and the Cub. Hey guys, welcome back to Confessions with the Cougar and the Cub. This is your host, Justin Vandeventer, and with me is the better looking part of this podcast. You know her.
Carrie.
Hey babe.
How's it going, babe?
Good.
Good.
So, we got something pretty cool coming up.
Yeah. We, gosh, it's crazy. We started off the podcast as a, relationship, and now I think we're really loving this interviewing stuff. And so, I unfortunately had something, not just but in my family close to home, a fire that happened about 7 years ago, 2018. And so this episode, we got to interview one of my brothers who was a part of the fire. So
your baby brother.
My baby brother, he's so cute and little. Meanwhile, he's 40 years old, so he probably hates when I say that. But anyway, it was pretty cool talking with him about it. I learned a lot that I didn't know. So it's crazy. It's a huge fire. It's called the Camp Fire in Paradise, California, Paradise and Magalia, California. And all of my family live out there. I also used to live there. And November 8th, 2018, roughly 50,000 people fled and lost their homes. I believe 85 or 86 were said to have passed away in the fires, and many businesses and people lost everything. So including my brothers and my mom. So anyway, it was really close to home for me. And I just wanted to share the story and also get his perspective on it for all of our viewers. So
in this episode, we sit down and we talk with him and ask some questions and learn about everything that happened that day and all that. So I don't want to get too far into this. We're going to let you guys listen to the episode, and we'll talk to you a little bit after that. Anything else you want to share?
No.
All right. Well, without any further ado, here's Mark. All right. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking with Mark, Carrie's brother. We're going to be talking about the campfires of November 8th, 2018 out of California.
Yeah. This happened, coming up on an anniversary here pretty quick. And my brothers and my mom and like 50,000 other people were displaced and affected by these campfires. So we're grateful that my little brother Mark is here. Welcome, Mark. And to talk about his experience with the campfires. So
Yeah. All right, Mark, I'm going to start out with asking, what did that day look like for you? Was it a typical day, or?
It definitely was typical for me. I was actually at work, and I'm just doing my job. I do pest control, so I was doing my job, and I look up in the sky, and it's dark in the side of Magalia and Paradise, and my family was up on the ridge, and I immediately called, and they explained that there's a fire burning down the sound of Paradise. So from then on, basically, I was trying to get up the hill. So I got done with my service and drove to the nearest location where I go back home, and they wouldn't allow me in. And at that point, I was sitting duck, if you would, and go from sitting there waiting, wondering, and hoping that they're gonna get out of the harm's way. And an hour or two goes by. I continue working, and I get a phone call saying that we're being immediately evacuated. And they leave. They said it sounded like bombs going off. So at that point, I started, kind of stressing out over it.
What were the bombs? Like, what was that?
propane tanks.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, propane tanks. So they were just exploding really loud. And then from then on, I basically, this is my, hour 2, hour 3, and my family goes northbound. They can't get down southbound, which is a road called Skyway that they would have been able to take down to Chico, California. Instead, they had to go to Philbrook area and down a road called Highway 32 into Chico that way. It's the northbound section only. Well, it turns out that's a single lane road, and they lost service immediately. So the entire day I had no service with my family. So I basically was at a standstill at work, which if
Not
you have,
knowing if they were alive or what had happened.
that's what I was going to say next. Yeah, because in at that point, I'm thinking pretty much, after that conversation, and mind you, I didn't really say it, but the phone got cut off. So as I'm talking to them, it got cut off. So I lost service that way. It wasn't just they lost service or, told me they call me back. It was boom, boom, busy sign, right? And at that point, I started really getting nervous and scared, for their safety. And I kept calling back to back over and over. I mean, we can probably count over 1,000, 1,500 phone calls back to them.
Dang.
And I tried everything to reach them, and I got a hold of them one time, and I said, if you're not down here by 5, I'm coming. And way in, I'm a motorcycle rider, so I would have rode a bike that I had a friend with, and I would have went in that way. Sure enough, 5 hours goes by, and I get a hold of them again, finally at about 4:45, 5 o'clock, and I didn't have to drive up there, and I knew they were almost to me. And then we met at the local Walmart, and then everything changed from then on out.
So to recap, just for people that don't know, Paradise, Magalia, Chico, Paradise, Magalia is up on a ridge, on a mountain, and then Chico is in the valley. So it's what would you say, Mark, 30, 45 minutes from say Magalia to Chico?
That is.
Yeah. So what normally would have taken 30 to 45 minutes, minimum or so, probably took 5 to 8 hours, because I too was calling multiple times because mom, and I was worried about everybody, but I was what's going on? So I can't imagine. It was the worst, I'm sure for you too, one of the worst days of your life. You just had no idea what was going on with your family, and man, seriously, stressed out. This was kind of part of the question too, but how long have you lived in Paradise, Magalia? I don't even know. I know we moved up there 94.5, but how long would you say you've been up there?
30 years.
30 years.
I was 10 years old. And, and we basically waited in we had to go to town, to the Residence Inn, and we stayed there for a good 50 days. And
did you guys ever have to pay for that, the hotels? Or did they just pay for that? Was that FEMA? Because you don't know.
They paid for that.
Okay.
But they had to pay up front, so we had to pay up front. So my mother and we teamed up, and we just maxed our credit cards.
Oh my God. I thought that all that was free. I didn't realize. I thought that the government just paid for that, because it was campers everywhere, tents everywhere, people just scattered all around. I thought that the government paid for all that.
And it was very good because for someone with the size of family that I have, I can't just get anywhere. I have to make sure they're safe, and they were booked all the way across the area. I still had to work in the next couple of days, and in order to keep ends flowing in, right? Mm-hmm. And we ended up having to go back and forth to the Residence Inn, which is a Marriott, and we stayed there. But the way it worked, it was already booked out. So they were booked. So you couldn't just get a room. So the only way you could do that is you have to check in every hour after, get a room one night. And then the next day, my wife's spending 3 hours in the lobby trying to get a room that is open. So that was our life for the next 52 days.
Meanwhile, you didn't know what was going on with your house, right? Like, or did you know that right away your house was gone?
So I knew, I found out 4 days later, because I am friends with the police or a fire chief.
Mm-hmm. And they had like a drone or something?
No, he sent an engine directly to my house and took a photo.
Dang.
How old were your kids at this time?
Oh, shoot. I'd say this is 5 years ago now. So James would have been about 10 or 11, and Trinity would have been about 8, and Bella would have been 3. Yeah. So it was definitely an eye lifter, an eye opener, and it felt like a bad dream. If anybody's been in a bad dream where you can't wake up and you're pitching yourself, that's exactly what it felt like, but you're awake. Very, very scary, very tough time, to be honest.
Because you, like, lost everything. Like, you lose a house, like, not just, you know, you, like, not just pots and pans and stuff. I remember talking to you and you, like, lost, like, your kids' pictures and their first day of kindergarten and, you know, all that stuff that, like, literally I have a box in my basement full of that kind of stuff for my kids, but, like, you don't have anything like that left.
And when your children make, like, a, you know, you have a Father's Day wall when you first house, that's the biggest thing to me that I lost. Everything else really was like, it sucked, right? It's material things, though, they'll be replenished. But those little mementos that they made for the last decade, that was gone. And that was the hardest part, trying to remember. Like, I had distinctively memory a shoe print, and my kids put their feet in between, and you know, one day I remember a distinct note. One day I can't wait to be the size of you, or something like that. I can't even remember because you know you remember these things when you see them, and it's harsh reality when you lose something that really means a lot like that.
Everything else can be replaced except for those little things, like their little handprints or the pictures from, you know, when they were in the hospital. I mean, unless you have them backed up to, like, you know, the cloud or whatever. I mean, all that stuff is gone.
We have some, you know, and luckily my wife, for some reason, my son, when he left, he grabbed 2 photo albums. I mean, we really didn't have to grab anything. Like, it was, you guys will be okay where you're at, right? And then all of a sudden, it immediately got to go now. So that's why they didn't have much time to grab anything. I mean, I ended up with nothing. So I didn't even have
clothes on your back. So basically you went to work, what you wore is all you had. Yeah,
exactly right.
Wow.
And we settled up at Walmart for a little while, and people are really generous. So that's one thing I noticed is everybody rallied together. And I know it was really amazing to see, to be honest with you. Like, after work, get your stuff back on track. It's like, I got to repay. I mean, I'm not the one that's going to put out my hand. I work really hard for what I have.
Yeah.
So I'll take anything. And I refused it for a long time, and everyone was just putting it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Cash or gift cards. You know, and I knew we weren't going to make it. I knew what I had in my account.
Right.
And I knew I wasn't going to. I knew I had to keep my job, and I knew I'd have to work and hope. But I knew there was never going to be a first and last month's rent on a place and all that. I mean, I'm already thinking of things like that. So, but that's if the house is down. That's like, this is all first moments, you know?
Yeah.
But once the house was down, then I realized, okay, now we have to get every piece of cash together so we can get a place
to rebuild.
Yeah. And just to get a rental, I mean, anywhere. But it wasn't as easy as people think to get back into a house.
Everybody else was trying to get into a house, right? I mean, you weren't the only one. Like I said, it was like 50,000 or whatever were displaced. So everyone's trying to do it. And I remember reading that, like, you know, landlords were jacking up the rent and things like that. Like, they were full on taking advantage of people at this time. Like, Yeah.
Went from basically 3 times the amount of rent is what someone would be. So we paid 9, and then the first house we got, which was low because we knew the person. It was 1,900. So we went up twice, times 2, a little over that. And then the third one, that's when we actually started considering buying a home.
Right.
And it went up right under 3 times.
Dang.
So everything got gouged that bad.
Well, I remember right after it happened, I mean, I was already out in the Midwest in Minnesota, and I remember I was like, I can't do anything. So I like posted things on Facebook to try and like get help. And then I finally went on the news. Do you remember you and Stacy and the kids? We went on, our news is called KARE 11, and we FaceTimed, and that literally drummed up so much, like so many gift cards and money. And then when I worked at like a little hair salon, I worked at a Great Clips, and people were giving me cash and gift cards left and right. And I still remember I went out a couple weeks after the fire, and I had a big old suitcase, and I like went to Walmart and used like a bunch of the, gift cards and stuff. And I tried to get you guys like, bras and pajamas and stuff like that. And then I remember taking James, and like you said, he was like maybe 11 at the time, and went to the FEMA offices, or whatever, where all the people were trying to get resources and help and all that. And I had all these gift cards in like a little Ziploc baggie, and James was there, and me, and we're like walking around. It was so cute. And he'd be like, hey, and he'd see a friend, hey, Tommy, can I give him a gift card, Auntie? Or, Aunt Carrie? And I'm like, yeah, this is for you. You do it. And he would give them out to everybody, and he'd be like, hey, I lost my house. My house caught on fire. And it was just so cute that what he was doing. But I was like, just give them away. Like it was just like so cute. Even though he lost everything, he was like, I'm still giving stuff away. I still remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It was pretty cute.
And I want to do, I have Minnesota people, tune, is I just want to say thank you from our family to theirs.
Of course.
If one was around that helped us, and they hear, because that was instrumental. Every portion went to something that we needed.
Yeah.
And even if it was gift cards that went, you have no idea what it was like to be in the same underwear for that night after all day.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool to have that portion and not have to spend the liquid cash that I had, which I had to save every dime for the rental.
Right.
So that was big. Any gift card was probably more important than the cash part, because the cash had to go to the rental.
Right.
So, or the next house. So every gift card went to vitals,
I also want to thank, I don't know if you had known this too, Mark, I went on a local radio station, Bob FM, so I wanted to give them props too, because that drummed up a bunch of more gift cards too. So Minnesotans, again, I felt like my hands were tied behind my back here, and I just lived in Minnesota for like a year. And so I was like, what do I do? And I didn't want people thinking like this is just for my family, but it really was like for so many other, like all the other people that had lost so much. So I just feel like Minnesota came for my family, as well as like, the tens of thousands of people that were displaced. Like they helped out so much, and just wanted to, give props to KARE 11 viewers, as well as Bob FM listeners. So
that's really cool.
It was awesome.
It was.
Yeah.
Mark, did you know anybody not wanting to leave and just hunker down and stay with their property?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I had a few friends that were in Concal, and Concal started right around that area, and I knew people that were going to stay no matter what.
Wow.
They did.
What happened?
They had a tractor.
Oh.
And a lot of people, if they were outside, they were able to put out the, but if the fire was coming, when the coming, that had a chance. But some had, circumstantial situations where they had a really large defense yard with like 100 feet off their house of just bare. They were able to put out the spot fires, so they were okay. But definitely a good question. But yeah, a lot of others weren't so fortunate though. They had low level fuel, and they thought they could put out those low level fuels, and you can't with that. You could only put out soil stuff that's 6 inches or down.
Right. Did you know anybody that didn't make it out?
Oh, I did. I had one person that I thought we lost, and I seen him recently.
That's crazy.
No, but I mean, to be honest with you, they certain amount of people, but there was a lot of convalescent hospitals up here,
Yeah.
and I know that they wouldn't have had that much time to get that much out. But I mean, I'm not 100% how many people. I think they said 86.
Yeah, I was just looking before we called, and it said something like 50,000 people, 18,000 structures, 85 fatalities. But like you said, the nursing homes, because Grandma was up there. Obviously, she had passed before this. But I mean, and also the hospital, like Feather River Hospital, like it's not even like it's not even functioning, or there's no hospital there that is taking. Like, what's going on with that? Like, how does a hospital close down? Like,
the hospital actually was just completely remodeled.
Okay.
So completely still intact, completely okay. It might have had a little smoke damage, but as of now, it's just a vacant facility.
Really?
The amount of people here now, they can't fully staff a hospital. Fully staffed, they have to actually fully staff it. It can't be just a couple of doctors. They have to have everybody there for nursing, for babies, all that stuff. So, and it's a large emergency room.
Yeah.
So they couldn't just turn it into a prompt care or any of that. So
I mean, you had your babies there, right? Like, I had 2 of mine there. So just knowing that, like, it's not a hospital anymore. Like, I mean, again, 45 minutes from Magalia to Chico or even to Orville, another 30 minutes to get to a hospital. Say you're going to have a child or have a heart attack or something. I mean, that's a far way to drive, there's a hospital right there in town that they can't fully staff to have to go somewhere else.
More people here, and it would be us. We all think, oh, it'd be great, but that deep down they would have nights where they probably would get maybe one, if not any,
even though it was like a really high kind of turnaround. Like, I mean, the hospital was fully functioning, like births and surgeries and all that. You don't think they can have it where it's like fully staffed? Like, you think a lot of the doctors and nurses left, or
make it. That's the thing is that has to be provided for that, right? It would pay out, so there would be nobody there. It would be, you can't have an 8-hour emergency room,
right?
So it would never be an emergency. So only a prompt care, and they're set up for emergency. So I just don't. They're not gonna bring that back yet. But I mean, it's all there. It's all.
Yeah.
It's sad to see, because I mean, what if I had a heart attack, like you said?
Yeah. And have to go. I mean, time is of the essence, and have to drive, 45 minutes. It just, especially when there's something that was there for so long and now it's not, because maybe people have left or whatnot. I mean, we were just there, and I saw how like it's like hit and miss. It's like, there's a house, and then like an empty lot or whatever. It's weird how.
It's crazy. It's crazy after being 5 to 6 years since the fire, and you can still see the damage.
Yeah.
You can still see trees with burn marks on them. You can still see some of the structures still on.
And the foundation's just empty.
The
why didn't they just
down to ash.
So I'm sure like there's septics and water and stuff like that they have yet to like demolish, and so there's still so much cleanup. How long did it take you guys to get back and like maybe go thumbing through your things, or how long was that?
For us, we days to find a rental, and then we got a rental. We did 8 months, and then we bought Galia, which is not anywhere. Where we lost our house is lower Magalia.
Yeah.
Golf course. And we lost our house there, but the upper Magalia portion was completely unscathed. So we found a house up there that was, someone flipped it, and it had all new appliances completely. We stayed there for 2 years, and we accumulated our value off that, and then we bought another home off of that. This still, remember, I didn't get much pay raises, so in that amount. So my mortgage is now at 3 times what I was using. So now it finally got me, and
Wow.
life is definitely tricky, I would say, it's not
Yeah.
the same as.
Yeah, big change.
So what resources were there? Like, what was there to help you? I was just going to say Salvation Army, but I know that there's resources that help in crisis and stuff. I remember the FEMA offices, but there were like little offices within that, right? Just for people listening, like what's there to help you to get back on your feet, if anything?
Definitely nice to have FEMA assistant for the 8 council. So that 1,500 of that. So I was able to save because remember, everything we would try to purchase, cash offer off of their insurance money. So we're talking full blown 400,000. They would cash offer it.
What do you
So
mean?
for
I don't think I understand that. What do you mean cash offer?
A lot of people after the fire, they started receiving insurance, not bankruptcy, lawsuit money.
Oh. So it was a settlement, right?
We're able to purchase over the people getting loans. So I was pre-qualified to get, a home, but I would put down and I would be waiting the 30 to 45 day.
Yeah.
We're waiting, and then all of a sudden, boom, someone cash offers you. You lose.
Oh, okay.
They take
So
their
no
settlement and
contin-
just straight cash offer.
Oh, okay. So I gotcha. Wow. So people were just swooping in. Wow. That is crazy. Dang.
So that my eye opener. So that, imagine how it felt for myself and my family. 30 to 45 days out of that first house,
Yeah. You're just waiting.
was like you cry because it was just so, you had to wait so long and you didn't know if you were going to land it. You knew the house had major potential that someone's going to buy it if they see it. Luckily, we got lucky. I mean, we prayed a lot.
Yeah.
We got it, and then we were in the green for 2 years, so that helped us out a lot.
Yeah.
But circumstances work out a certain way, I guess you'd say, and then the next thing to answer back on your question of how resources. So for someone like me that worked, I didn't get the FEMA assistance that others would have received. They received, say, $30,000. I received basically, for that 8 months, they helped us out with $1,300, up to $1,300, and I have to repay that.
So they would give you like a stipend, like a $1,300 monthly kind of stipend, but you have to pay it back?
I had to pay that. By me working a full-time job, was mandated to take, if I wanted to, an SBA loan.
Okay.
At 2, wouldn't hit me with interest for 2 years. So I was able to utilize that, and because it's a fire disaster, and I did that, and that's what helped us. It was a $40,000, but see, now we have debt now. Remember, we didn't have debt before.
Right.
I wait, and I save. So for me now, my life for here on out will probably be in debt for a lot of more years because I'm, paying debt. So, but that's okay. I mean, that's life.
Man.
But
So do you think I'm trying to understand this. For people that didn't have a job, they got 30 grand?
they got 30 grand, and some of them, if they were, say, disabled or any of those things like that, they won't have to pay that back. But if you had a job and you got the FEMA assistance, you have to pay it back.
How long did they say until you'd have to pay it back? Was it like a certain amount of time, or when you get a settlement?
The FEMA one, they took it out the $40,000 the SBA loan. So that was different. So for me, I don't know the other people how they went down for them, but for me with a job and having FEMA assistance, mine got basically my FEMA check or my SBA loan came up to like I think 28,000 or something like that.
And for people that are listening to, PG&E is the gas and electric company. And so just reading up on this, it says that they have paid out approximately $5.36 million in settlements and awards. So of that, like, do you have to wait until like a final settlement, or is all that kind of FEMA stuff and everything, is that broken down into that? Or have you guys even gotten paid?
Okay, so the way that worked is that one's very, very, very challenging to say the least.
Okay.
The way they gave us our money was in percentages over time. So after a certain amount of time, 3-4 years, we received our first payment, and maybe it was 30% of our 100%. So say if you had 500,000, you get 30% of that. And what I feel like they should have just waited until the end and just paid you out, so you can buy a home and just be, kind of start from scratch, ground zero all over. Because there's so many people it's very tricky because they're now in debt.
Yeah.
So if it pay off all these other bills, so in order for you to do that, you're not going to be able to put down a principal on a house. I would have rather just put a whole principal down.
Yeah.
But it was very, very challenging. I think it's very frustrating because you had, say $60,000 and you owed 25, and you still have to pay taxes on it. And so you're really there's not much there. And then you get another one in say a year. And then now they're at a point where we're not getting 100%. So we are now all getting 70% of it, and that's it. And the lawyers took 33%.
Wow. And I mean, you guys had to like buy everything from scratch. So say you lost cars or motorcycles or side-by-sides or, boats, whatever. Like you're buying that, you get $60K here or $30K here or whatever. You're buying that little stuff instead of just waiting till the end and getting, a couple $100,000 and put that down. You're getting all these little, so you really don't have enough to, like you said, put down on like a house or something.
And a lot of people had to do it that way because they don't basically live in, or go from middle class like we were down lower level of income just because of that. I didn't want my children to fall or have to move to a different town. So we stayed where the problem was it's more money to live up here.
Yeah.
And we want to be kind of close to their friends, and where, we came back up here, and my family and I had a very serious conversation that we don't have to live here. We can go out of state. You guys do not have to live here ever again. All wanted to stay.
Even the kids wanted to stay, or you and Stacy made that choice, or like was anybody? Because I know you have like a brother-in-law that and sister-in-law that left. I don't know if they left after that or whatnot, but was it that you're like, no, we're staying here, and they were full on board, or
full on? They were factor.
Wow. I mean, it's home. That's all they know.
I mean, I wanted to go to Texas or Tennessee. I thought that would have been a great fresh start, but then it would have been a fresh and trying to find a job and a career. And I knew I made not the best, but I knew I could float us pretty well doing what I do. So it was like, all right, well, we want to be a part of the rebuild. We don't want to, basically our motto was, we don't want to be evicted by a fire. We would rather leave on our own terms.
Right. You said about the jobs, like what kind of jobs do you think, like, I mean, again, Justin and I were just there, but what do you think are the most things that, like, after the fire, what kind of jobs and resources, or even just like, I mean, I know the grocery store, things like that, but what kind of jobs have like gone and have yet to come back, in your opinion? Like, what do you see that you have to go to like Chico and Orville for because they no longer are there due to the fires?
Definitely grocery stores.
Yeah.
Stations.
Gas stations,
and,
you said?
Yep, all fast foods are gone.
Oh, wow. There's nothing up there? Like, no.
Well,
Wow.
Taco Bell. So all the fast foods, like burger places, they're no
Wow.
longer. We have one taco spot, which is 24, or not 24, but is there. So that's it. So basically, you know, everything on that level. Restaurants are gone.
Really?
There was restaurants left now. There was a long time for them to even come back. So for a long time, it was just a dark town for about a year.
Wow.
So-
That must have been
so-
depressing. I mean, just even like, hey, it's a late night. I don't want to, I don't want to cook. Let me just run to Burger King or something like that. Like the fact that you can't do that, or again, it's 30 to 45 minutes. But like you said, it's dark and just, I mean, the depression, I don't know. Like, I feel like I have seasonal depression living here in Minnesota with just it being like dark and cold and gray, but just seeing, the brown and the trees and everything like burnt and stuff. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine. I imagine depression and stuff went on the rise after that. Sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like I said, it was definitely a stomach kicker for the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you house, and drove.
Right.
Yeah, it was definitely a stomach acher. I mean, you live here your whole life darn near.
Yeah.
You're gonna have memories
Yeah.
that when you see things, visual interpretation, cognitive and all those things that you look at
Yeah.
are right. So for us humans, we get memories from visualizing what we used to do when we were kids or childlike.
Yeah.
The light. As they're no longer there. So it is definitely a stressful situation. But, like we live through, our family lives through faith, it's something we go through. So there's ups and downs in life, and it's a matter of how you respond. And I think we responded pretty well.
Do people around town, do they still talk about the fires, or do they kind of keep it hush hush, or is it something that you're open about?
And some people do. It's more on the lines of like what happened that day.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still stories that go around that I was doing this or I was doing that, or like mine. I always I'll end up saying that I'm in customer service at work a lot, and I'll end up explaining. Oh yeah, I remember being in Chico and just felt like I lost my family for 5 hours and I didn't know what to do. I sat in at Popeyes and just waited it out, and everyone was putting stuff on Facebook, and all you could see is everything going around you, and couldn't do a thing about it. But I knew at 5 p.m. I was out of here.
Man.
Yeah.
Man. Do you worry, that another fire might happen? I know there was a recent one over kind of Orville by our other brother's house, Vince's house, in the summer. Do you worry that another fire might happen again up there and that you can be repeating this again?
I don't know if it's worry so much, but when it happens in the smell, it brings back old memories. But I'm not gonna. I will never worry like that. I like I said, I have really strong high belief in faith and with God, and if I'm ready to, at any given time, I'll do whatever I can to survive. But if it's that time, it's that time, So for me, but no, I'm not really worried about it. It's more on the lines of just it brings back old memories, and that's probably the biggest, hardest part is the stress or the depression that it brought up. But you're ready, when you see an evacuation warning, you're already getting everything to go. We had that happen recently, and we almost had all of our belongings in the back of my truck before 20 minutes, and I was already saying, let's go, let's get off the ridge.
Yeah.
And my wife, a warning, it's just a warning, and we didn't. But I kept telling her, I said, well, these things, the smoke, you won't die by the fire, you'll die by the smoke.
The inhalation.
Right.
So I was like, it's really worth it, just fall asleep and not wake up, or why don't we just go off the ridge and fall asleep and have peace of mind?
Yeah.
So being that it's been a while now, do you think the town is getting better, or do you think it's worse now ever since the fire, or do you see it
rebuilding?
I mean, what's it like? Is it getting better? Is it getting, or do you think they're rebuilding it worse, or what would you say?
Say it's better. It's going to be a better, safer town for years to come. I think it'll bring in new people, more better businesses, better views. There's more. You can actually grow lawn now here. I mean, it is way different. So have all the the nitrogen, the phosphate, from all the fire and the ash.
Yeah.
Clean and good. So there's a lot of good things that are going to come from this also, but Earth has to have so no matter what, there's forest fires regardless. No matter what we do or say, it does its clean. You see how green it comes back. It's just a part of it, and I think there's good resources here now. There's jobs for construction crews.
Yeah.
So that's not going to stop for another, I would say, I thought 5 years.
I would say 10. I mean, there's so many open places, there were trucks and empty stuff. It's going to be forever, that they got the construction people working. But do you think that after all this, did they figure out better ways in case this were to ever happen again to evacuate? Because I know that there's narrow roads, and Mom was in it too, and she was saying how certain roads were closed. Do you think that they're going to figure out a better way in case this does happen again? How to get people out faster so there aren't people perishing on the side of the road, and things like that? Or
well, one thing we have 3 ways out from Paradise.
Okay.
Way in, 1 way out for a ways. So you can only go southbound, and then you can only go northbound when near Magalia. So if it starts in Paradise at a certain level, you'll have to go north. So that's kind of the downfall of Magalia.
Right.
You have one.
Is that towards the town, that itty bitty town Inskip and all that little town? You have to go up that way?
Directions. Yeah.
Okay.
To get out, you have 3 directions. So you can go down. You can go south once you get down there, and then go road called Clark and road called.
But the road narrows, right? Clark is going down a windy-ish, mountain, and it's only one way up and one way down. Whereas the Skyway, you've got 2 going up and 2 going down. So I'm assuming
they can't come up.
Oh, so of course, yeah.
So then you end up with double lanes.
Yeah.
So, and then going down to Chico, you'll end up having 4 lanes. So you're not allowed to go up when there's a fire on a ridge.
Right. Yeah, you wouldn't go up. Yeah. One thing I did notice. Sorry to interrupt there. One thing I did notice is when we were there this time, as well as right after the fires, of how much. California's always had a great amount of homelessness, but it seems like now there's so much, especially even in Chico, and I'm not sure if that was because of the fire, people just losing their homes and they're just I can't rebuild or whatnot. But to see tents and campsites and things like that, especially right after the fire, at Walmart, or you just see all the campsites. It was just crazy. Do you feel like that has something to do with the fires, or is that just in general California, nice weather and people, just the jobs are scarce and let's tent it type of thing?
I really have a standpoint on it now. I see the people that were in those, and they were definitely our community. And I had to fight for every second I had as president.
Man,
they weren't. We made it really in right away.
Yeah.
With the Marriott staff. So we were one of the
lucky.
Probably the one lucky one. That's how close, luck wise. Because when we would go down there, they knew our family now at this point.
Yeah.
But we just kind of.
Some people weren't that lucky. Some people had to live in their car, or or maybe they haven't recuperated from it or whatever. I mean, that's a huge thing. Or if, say, they didn't have insurance. I mean, I know people that, you know, have either let their insurance lapse or whatever. I mean, I know especially too now with like hurricanes and monsoons and stuff that a lot of insurances aren't covering as they once were. So I wonder too if that is something where some insurance is like, you know what, we're just not going to pay. I mean, I don't know. Pay your premium, but
right.
Whew, it's crazy.
I agree. And yeah, a lot of people didn't have insurance, so we didn't have, we were renters.
Did you not have insurance?
No, we didn't. We rented our house, and I took a job that for management I had to kind of start a company with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I wiped away my insurance, my cell phone, and cable bill, so that it was going to be a lower paying job at first to build for the future.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it's paying off now.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was, I had, you know, this is right before the fire, you know.
Wow.
And
you're finally rebuilding back up, you know, maybe. Yeah. I mean, it looked like you guys are doing great. Kids are happy. You're happy. You got a beautiful home, but, you know, you definitely had what most people would never encounter in their life. I mean, I've never been a part of a fire. I feel like I think you guys are the only people I know that really have ever been a part of a fire, and it's crazy. And here you are rebuilding. So
I think it was an eye opener for sure. And to be a part of a mass thing like that, it brought the community closer. And I got to see kind of how the whole community as a whole reacts. Mm-hmm. Oroville, California, and Chico, California, you know, how they responded, and it was with open arms. Yes, they didn't really want to sell us their houses. I could tell that.
Right.
I understand that, you know, because they're already fully, you know, living little towns. I mean, they're bigger towns for their size.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of people that had nothing left, so we had to go somewhere, and a lot of people couldn't stay here. I mean, it was not get it wrong or twisted.
Right.
They moved. They'll never be back again. So a lot of people like abandoned it. They had to.
Well, I think I also read 26,000 people. There was something about the 50, but 26,000 people left Paradise Magalia. And I think when I left Chico, it was like 90,000 people in the town. And now I think I read it's like over 120,000. And that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot for one community. I mean, especially, you know, you're not really close to any metropolis area, like an hour and a half from Sacramento, you know, about 3+ hours from San Francisco. This huge, you know, it's a huge little town. And so many now new transplants and, you know, learning new neighborhoods and kids getting new friends, all because of this devastation of this fire that brought them down the hill. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's why we didn't go down there. It was a major change for our family, you know, to be in, I guess you would say, faster pace, different mind style.
It is, yeah. Yeah, Paradise is more slower, I think, you know, in a good way. It's like kind of like the old, the smaller.
It was really nice. It's a lot of people, you know, they give their shirt off their back mentality.
Yeah, they would.
Now it's way, way more like that, even more.
More so than it was before, you mean?
10 times, 10 folds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty darn cool. I mean, because we all consider ourselves kind of like a point scale. We're like a point, you know. It's like we're all
in it together.
Yeah, we're all part of this. Like you said, whatever 55,000 or so it was. It's like we're one. You know, you're two, you're three, whatever.
You're bonded whether or not you like it or not. You guys all went through a really bad thing, and now you guys are all rebuilding after this really bad thing. So you're doing it all together, and
everyone's willing to assist each other, and it's really, I think, like I said, I mean, it's let's not let it be a Debbie Downer story. It's
not at all.
More of an uplifting, because now it's brought people, you know, closer. You know, it fueled people to do more with their life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's put a lot of people, you know, behind the 8 ball, I guess you would say, within like how I was a middle class person that have debt ever in his life. And now I'll have a major debt So it's a part of what I'll go through. But I mean, at the same time, it's building my character up, and I still love it. I stayed. I could have went somewhere else and basically had a fresh start, but no.
So with everything that's happened and all that, I guess we're kind of going to wrap it up here pretty soon. But for anybody that would go through this, what advice would you give someone that would have this situation? Is there anything that you could tell them? Hey, this is what I've learned through all this. Is there any kind of advice you could give someone going through this?
Make sure everything's insured. That's your number one thing. Make sure your number one thing is you're insured. That is your number one thing you need to make sure. You have fire or flood or whatever it may be that you're nearby it, and then make sure your personal losses will be taken care of, because you'll end up spending all of your your property insurance on your supplies you need to rebuild to have a house to actually go into and live in, meaning in pots and pans and all that. So make sure you do that, and then definitely just set up better. Make sure you have prep steps before each for evacuation happens, right? You already have your all of your a tote full of your family heirlooms, that kind of stuff, ready to rock and roll at any given time. That's the number one thing we do now. Birth certificates, all that stuff is all secure.
Together.
The first thing we got, right? We don't put our pictures away anymore, like our albums. They secure, so we always have them. If we need them, we just grab a tote. So we don't put them like we used to, in our bookshelf.
Yeah.
That won't happen again. So we want to make sure we have all hard copies now that we have still since the fire.
That's smart. It's like when you go and have a baby, you have your bag that's, your to-go bag, and then like your leaving bag. So it's like the same stuff.
How about a game plan? Do you guys have a game plan now? Like if this ever does happen, like, hey, the family's meeting here, because I kind of talking to your mom this weekend, it was like the plan was to meet at Walmart or something, I believe. Do you guys have
the 5 o'clock plan is no matter what, if I'll be at Walmart at 5, if you're not there, I'm coming.
Right.
And like I said, I had my way out, but that's the plan when that happened, right? But us up here, because I have in-laws up here only now, so I don't have my family here anymore.
Yeah.
So I have all my in-laws here, so we all live right around the block from each other. So no matter what happens, we are so quick, and I mean, it would be, we all leave and we all know, it's very, I would say that we don't have a plan where we meet, but we're all so close in proximity here. We're neighbors. So it's different for our family.
I hear you.
Yeah, we all would drive together. So basically I would go to my end of my road and I could yell for my in-laws,
Okay. That's
how close it is. So it's kind of, we all go together though, but we follow one another when we leave. That's what my wife did. She went with 3 cars and they all stayed together. So, but that's our family. But yeah, I would definitely recommend others though to have a great meeting location.
Yeah.
If they had other people, and like how Mom lived in Paradise.
Yep.
That's when I would say, yes, you need to have a game plan.
Yeah.
But for us right here, we all live, I could yell for them from my house.
Yeah.
And they could all hear me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that it's never going to, like, if ever the tragedy like this ever did happen again, you guys are so well equipped, you know what to do. And like, you won't get caught with your pants down ever again. Like there's going to be those resources. Like they didn't know. I mean, this is like a huge, I mean, as long as I lived up there, I remember hearing about like evacuations happening, and there were times where there might be one, but it never got that close like it did. So I think you guys are so better equipped now that it's like the first smell of it and they're like, oh, it's on the Feather River Canyon. Oh, it's right here. It's like, we're going, we're not even chancing it, because there's still such a high chance, because it is, it's like forest. When we went there, did you realize how woodsy and foresty it was. Like you knew it. Like, I mean, I remember when this happened, I think, I'm not going to say which president it was, but I think it was a certain president that said, well, if those people would have cleaned up their yards and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how can you clean up like hundreds of thousands of acres? You cannot. It's a forest where houses are just kind of embedded. You can't clean that up. So it's like, will it happen? We don't know. But next time, if it does, you guys are going to be better set. Hopefully it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't.
And let's remember December, so everything was still falling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was definitely a windstorm. Remember that? So I mean, it was. I mean, I just did my yard and it was already had like a foot of leaves, pine needles on it.
You had a lot. Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, that is just like kindling, right? It's whoosh, goes up in flames.
That's straight fuel.
Yeah. And that's so much that's up there. I mean, the town is called the Pines. It's a nickname for the Pines. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, that whole town. After being up there looking at it and seeing the pines, I mean, that's straight gas for a fire.
Yeah. It's crazy. I know. Anything else, Mark, that you'd like to add? Hopefully this podcast will reach other people. That's why I wanted to ask you what kind of businesses and things that you would love to maybe see come in, because you never know. Like, this podcast could reach. I mean, right now we're trending, and we're doing really good with our numbers and subscribers. But say there's a person that wants to
start up a business or something like that. What do you think would really benefit the town right now that you guys don't have?
I'd say definitely more grocery store and grocery store for jobs, and not just for groceries, but more for for jobs and groceries.
Yeah,
I think a lot more people moving here now, and their houses are being built left and right, left and right, left and right. So I would say definitely need a setup for that, because the future is it's going to be a booming town here very much.
And it already was. It was such a, I mean, you guys don't have big box stores. Like, Chico is the big box store for like Walmart, Target, things like that. So I don't foresee any of that ever happening. But like, I mean, you guys lost the main grocery store, Safeway, which had, everything from like deli to pharmacy and stuff like that. So things that, now you're like, well, now I got to drive 45 minutes again, just to do those type of things that we take for granted. Like, where I live, I got a Walmart, I got a Target, I got a Cub, I got all the grocery stores all like within 5 minutes. So if I want to go grab a gallon of milk, I can, where you guys may not.
And seeing how fast, like you said, things are growing real fast there. Like, houses are going up all the time. I could see somebody business like could make a killing in that town because of how fast it is rebuilding.
Oh God, yeah.
And there's nothing there right now.
It's like a monopoly. It's like you do it. You set it up. You're going to be the only one there.
Yeah, you could be the first one in there to.
Yeah, especially if it's not even rebuilt. Like they had what? Well, there was Safeway, and then wasn't there Holiday Market or something?
Yeah, and the Save More, which is like an Albertsons type store, and that's still there.
Oh, okay.
And then that's the only one in Paradise now.
Okay.
One grocery store in there was 3 before.
Wow.
And a grocery store, and I would say fast food stores would do really well.
Yep.
Up here. And honestly, I mean, you have to remember there's youth here.
Yeah.
So if they don't have jobs, we're not really teaching them very much. I mean, they're nowhere. So we're going to make sure that I would love to see more businesses start getting up here, because there's still a community here right now.
Right. You still got the high school, the elementary kids are going to, like, our first jobs are fast food and, flipping burgers. And if you don't even have that, what are these kids supposed to go and do? How are they going to, and again, you don't really want to have them drive so far just to get a job. It used to all be right there. Now, I know Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if I should talk about Aaron Rodgers, especially in Minnesota. People don't like him, but I know he's from Chico. Did he help with like the football field or something? I thought I read that. This is like off topic, but I just remember reading about that. Didn't he help with like your guys' football gear and stuff? Or
I think the gear, I'm not 100% exactly what he did, but he did definitely donate.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it was exactly. I believe it was our program, though, our football program.
I feel like I just read that it was like maybe a couple of years ago, so it was after the fact. And I know I don't think he really had ties to Paradise. He did to Chico because he went to the high school there. But that's pretty cool that he helped out with that.
He went to Pine Ridge Elementary School. So he
he did.
He lived up here for.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he went to the elementary school where my kids went.
Okay.
Yeah, he has ties here too.
Yeah,
So-
and then you should give a little plug for that thing that you guys are trying to do, and we can put a link in there that you guys are trying to. You're a part of something with the football field, the Bobcats, Paradise Bobcats. Talk a little bit about that, and then we'll plug that too.
It's there's a T-Mobile app that Mobile is building they're giving $2 million for however many votes you can get, and it's through Instagram, and if you like and vote for it, then it gives opportunity by mid-November, I believe. It gives opportunity to get a new field, new scoreboard, new whatever they do, and I mean, our scoreboard, it doesn't light up, it's all melted. It lights up once in a while and then turns off and on.
So, do they have to have the T-Mobile app, or how?
What's the app, or where do you go to vote? No.
Send you guys over, and then you guys can attach it on your email if you wanted to.
Because I know I saw it on Facebook, and I think I saw a QR code, but we'll attach that. And haven't you guys already won? Was it 25,000 thus far, or how much have you won?
We're second place right now, so it's very close. But Aaron Rodgers is actually the big helping factor for that. He got us 10,000 votes rather quick.
Wow. And is it out of all California schools or out of the country? What is it like? How many people are in this?
Not sure if it's California or if it's all America. It's definitely large scale though, and there's 1,700 schools. So
wow,
that's cool.
Yeah, we'll put a link in there too, and then that'd be kind of cool if this could get shared. And I mean, I can only imagine. You want the kids to you don't want them always on the playing TV or video games or whatever. You want the youth sports to continue, and football is such a big thing for so many. And you guys have such I remember watching you. I don't want to tear up, but I remember watching you play football there. And it's such a cool how I don't know. It's just. Yeah, so many good memories because I think so many people stay there after, their kids are, their kids grow up and they stay, and then now it's the grandkids and, to have a football field that has a melting, scoreboard, it's just that's one more memory of what happened. But how cool would it be if this could take off and you guys get something cool and be yeah, Fire, you thought you had us. Not today. That's awesome. I love it. Cool. Anything else that you want to finish up with, babe?
No, I think this is great. I learned quite a bit, or actually, I didn't.
Yeah.
I spent the weekend with you. I did not know you were separated from your family.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
I don't usually speak on that one very much. It brings up a lot of emotions for that side because for 5 hours I thought they were gone.
Yeah.
Right. I couldn't imagine going through that. So.
You see a lot on Facebook, so that was really bad, and you see a lot on Facebook that was going on during the fire.
Yeah.
And watching it unfold, and I'm like, there's no way in heck I'm gonna have a family at the end of this. Man. And to keep my faith strong and just trying to pray it out and just hoping for the best and praying. And luckily that last phone call, my son answered the phone because that was going to be it. But I didn't really explain that, when I kept calling back to back the whole day. It was literally my last call, guys. That's how close. It was at 4:50, 4:45. And it was all right, well, now I've got to buy a motorcycle with the last $1,300 I have. And my brother-in-law, he made it. He was down there and he had an ATV, and I was going to just buy that and ride it in because you couldn't go through the town. So I'd have to go off road.
Right.
Wow. I can't imagine for people that were say in different towns like you, and it was a school day, right? I don't remember which day it was, but it was a school day, right? Kids were probably in school, and then to be evacuated, then the school buses, and God.
It was a real day. It was a regular working weekday.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Dang, because I remember like hearing about it, and then like it took me like 8 hours to finally get in touch. I was telling my kids and everything. I'm like, call grandma, and we were doing the same thing. The phone would go dead, or she'd answer. And I know Ron Howard did a special, and it's on Netflix and stuff. And I've still yet to watch it, just because I remember seeing things on Facebook and people posting and seeing, fire trucks melting on the side of the road, and hearing the explosions, and then also too not knowing if you, Stacy, the kids, mom, Vince, Brian, like if anybody was alive. And so like, as much as I kind of like want to see that special, and I think it sounds like he did a great job, it's like I literally feared that I wasn't gonna have a mom and brothers too. So it's I mean, again, 2,000 miles away, I couldn't do anything. I was just watching it through Facebook. And then Minnesota, of course, we're not putting the news out like Chico News and stuff is going to do. So I was literally like, I have no family, so it's very scary from here, but I'm so glad you're here and you can tell about it. And I think you guys are all stronger for it, and I'm proud of you, my little baby brother, who's just so little to me, but you're a grown man. I'm so proud of you, and I love you, and thank you for doing this with us.
Yeah, this was great.
It was so
thank
good.
you for doing this. All right, that was our episode with Mark. What'd you think?
Well, gosh, I learned so much. I didn't realize the devastation. It's crazy.
I spent all weekend. We just got back from going to visit them.
Yeah.
And I heard everything, quite a bit about the fire. I mean, that's pretty much what I learned about the most.
Yeah.
That weekend when we were up there. And I did not know he was separated from his family. Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine. Like, let's just quickly put yourself in that perspective. Like you're at work and you hear that your family, they're 45 minutes away, and there's a fire that is taking over your town. And then to make matters worse, they're not allowing you to go and see them or get up, quote unquote, the hill
to go help.
And you just have to you're like a sitting duck waiting, and the power is out and the phones are out, and you have no idea if your family is alive or your home is spared. I mean, holy crap.
I didn't want to get into it, but like I said, he's separated from his family, and his wife, their kids are young.
Yeah, they're little, like under age 11, 12, 13, under from like 4 to that age. And they're at school at some.
And I wanted to ask, was she pregnant at the time?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was going to say.
I know.
The little one wasn't around yet. So.
No. Yeah.
But.
I mean, again.
The other one had to be.
I mean, they were little.
Had to be like 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also,
I couldn't imagine being up there without your husband.
Yeah. And having to like get everything you could. I mean, people, what we learned from my little brother Mark is a couple things, and you're going to listen to it, but get your shit together.
You should have already listened to it if you're listening to this part.
I know, but like literally get your shit together. Like, when we have our children or whatever, and you have your bag to go from the hospital and or to the hospital, have your stuff together, whether or not you have in a metal box, your birth records or pictures or back, put all your pictures on Facebook or in the cloud or something. Those are things that you can't get back.
Yeah. Have a game plan for the worst, because the worst can happen.
Yeah. I mean,
don't dwell on it, but definitely have a plan for it.
I mean, I don't have that kind of stuff. I have my scrapbooks and my photo albums on bookshelves, and I might have some pictures backed up, but I don't know. I don't even know where my social security card is. If you lose that, good luck trying to go to the government center. Things that we just take for granted. So, we learned a lot. And, also too, it was really cool hearing, so many people like helped with the fires. Aaron Rodgers was one of the big helpers. Who is that? Nate
Burleson.
And he's a Viking or what?
He was a wide receiver for the Vikings.
Okay. And he did a tweet or something to my nephew James, as well as my brother. And that was really cool.
Hey.
That's really cool that people, that just supported the cause and wanted to be a part of it. So, I'm really grateful that, we did this interview, and, unfortunately, I have a couple other family members that also lost their homes, so there might be a part 2 and 3 and 4 to get their perspective. But we're grateful that you guys listen.
Yeah, because and I know people are gonna be like, oh, I don't, even if you don't want to hear it, it's really cool to hear the different perspectives, because so much happened that day.
Yeah,
like the stories I heard this weekend from what your mom went through and what James went through and what Vince went through. And I haven't talked to your stepbrother, but I'm sure his was even probably different too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, your mom, not just a little bit of a spoiler. Your mom picked up some lady she didn't even know.
Yeah, she was leaving her. She lived in a senior community, and this little old lady was on her porch, and she had her little flashlight, and she was looking for a cat. Now, mind you, this happened about, I think it was 8:39, 9:30 in the morning.
You don't need to give the whole story.
Well, but anyway, you stop it. And my mom, my mom's a saint. She picked up a little old lady, and my mom said, "You know what? I'm sorry I can't get the cat, but we got to go. There's smoke. It looked like it was black. I mean, that's what these people drove through. So, I mean, man, and given just like everything that's happening in the world, like a natural disaster can happen anywhere. But
it was cool to hear how so many people came together.
The whole community. Yeah. And even
and the communities around.
Yeah. And even like I said on the podcast too, like Minnesota friends and family came to support my family as well as like all the other Californians. Like we really, came together as like, I think even a state from all these states away, Minnesota even, helped out. And I cannot thank, and my brother thanked, all the Minnesota people that helped. And I just.
And if you're a business guy out there and looking for adventure.
Not even out there if you want to be out there.
No, I mean I'm just saying if you're listening out there.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Sorry.
If you're listening out there and you're a business guy and you're looking for adventure, I mean, there's
grocery stores,
there's businesses to be made
stations,
out there.
Food places.
Fast food places. I mean, the kids have no jobs out there right now.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many people. I think 26,000 people moved from Paradise, Magalia after the fires, and they just like scattered, whether or not they went to Chico or surrounding areas. Well, now they're rebuilding, but yet they don't have
a community that's coming.
It's up and coming.
Up and coming.
So they don't have a hospital anymore because there's nobody to work it. And then there's no fast food, and there's like one grocery store where there used to be 3. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're...
The only fast food they have up there right now is Taco Bell.
Which, that shit runs through you fast. So. But, I mean, hey, if you're looking for a business adventure and, why not bring some businesses or some jobs to
something
to
to look
area.
into if you're in that.
I mean, that's why
lane.
I wanted to do this, like, as much as, like, I love to talk, and we know I love to talk. Mm-hmm. It really was to try and help out a community that has been through the ringer. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a great episode. I love talking to them, and I can't wait to talk to the other ones as well. But if you listen to the episode, there's an app or something that you can go vote on that we were talking to them with. Yes. We will share that to our Facebook page and you'll see it on our socials.
What it is
you can go on there, click on it, and go vote. Right now, they're sitting in second place from what
it's for football. Just to recap, it's for football. So it's Paradise Bobcats football. They lost their scoreboard. It is melted from the fires. Aaron Rodgers has helped donate. I can't remember what all, but he's donated some to the community. But anyway, I think there's 1,500 or 1,800 schools that are participating. They're sitting in second. They've already won $25,000. And I can't remember what the grand prize is, but if we can share this and it gets out there, I mean, can you imagine your kid has gone through a fire? They've lost everything and they just want to keep youth sports going.
And they have a good program from what I've heard.
Great program. They're doing great. Yeah, my little nephew and my niece, they're cheerleading and playing football. And I mean, my brother said sometimes the scoreboard works, sometimes it doesn't. And I mean,
the lights flicker, you're saying.
I mean, something that we take for granted. Come on, like we got, Monticello and we've got Becker with these awesome,
So if you can click on there and go give them a vote and help them out, I mean, just that alone will help. So other than that, I think this was a great episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Go check us out wherever you're listening. I know I shouldn't have to tell you this. You should know this already, but comment, share, like everything that you guys hear on the episode, wherever you're listening. It helps out the podcast. Go like and share everything that we post. It really helps the cause. We're trying to do something here. We're trying to build something.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
We got to figure out why we're not on iTunes yet.
We'll figure that out. Whatever.
I was going to say, contact Apple for us. Nah. Thanks, guys, for listening. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace out, Scout.
Bye.